So, you know the relationship isn't right. Yet every time you think about leaving, your mind gets flooded with what ifs. What if I never find a love like that again? What if I'm making the wrong decision and I regret it? What if I'm alone forever? And so on. Trust me, I've been there. But what if I told you that these fears have nothing to do with actually finding love again, or actually being alone, or actually making the wrong decision? And everything to do with the deeper subconscious beliefs that we don't even know that we're holding. When we don't understand our fears, they keep us stuck in places that we've outgrown and situations that no longer serve us. We feel paralyzed, even though deep down we know it's best to move forward, it's best to let go and heal. By the end of this video, I don't necessarily want to convince you that you're going to find another love or that you're not going to end up alone. Rather, I want to break down why these fears have so much power over you, and more importantly, how to take that power away. You will walk away from this video knowing exactly how to handle any fears that come up and how to build such a strong foundation in yourself that you know you'll be regardless of any external condition. So, with that, if you're new here, welcome, or if you're returning, welcome back. My name is Gracie Rotman. I am a coach and an educator who has spent years studying healing after toxic relationship because I once walked that path myself. So let's just get straight into the video. Before we dive into this specific fear, let's take a second and break down fear itself so we have some context going into it. Now, in the fears I stated in the beginning, fear is pointing towards a future scenario, ending up alone forever, never finding another love. But the scenario itself is not what's creating the emotion of fear. Because one person will think about ending up alone forever and be terrified by that, while another will look at that and be like, that sounds great, sign me up. So it's not about the scenario itself. In fact, the scenario is just a neutral event. It is about the meaning we assign to that event. And this is what David Hawkins meant when he wrote in his book Letting Go, which is a great book and I highly recommend. He wrote, "Fear of life is really the fear of emotions. It is not the facts we fear, but the feelings we have about them." And that's why two people can imagine the same scenario and have two completely different emotional reactions. But the next question is, what is the difference between who's assigning this meaning versus who's assigning this one? And the answer is, it's the beliefs that they hold at a subconscious level. Every fear is supported by a belief that you have agreed to. Now, you probably agreed unconsciously, and you probably agreed when you were too young to actually discern what you would like to agree to versus not. Let me give you some very human examples of this. First is the fear, what if they don't like me? Well, hidden beneath that is the agreement that says, my value depends on other people's opinions. Or let's look at the fear of failure. Behind that is the agreement that failure determines my worth. Then there's the fear of missing an opportunity. Well, hidden behind that is an agreement that good opportunities only come around once. And finally, the fear of disappointing your parents. Hidden beneath that is the agreement that I am responsible for my parents' emotions and happiness. So, whether we realize it or not, we all hold beliefs at the subconscious level, and they run us. They run our thoughts, our fears, and our behaviors. And like I said, this is all learned pretty much at an age before we have any conscious choosing. You were born into a world where fear is the predominant state. As kids, we absorb everything. We're so curious, we take it all in, and so you learn that. You learn that you needed to be good enough, and you either met that or you didn't. You were either praised or punished based on where you fell. Either way, it creates the fear of not being good enough. Anyways, what happens is that many of us are not aware of the beliefs we have operating in the background at all times. And so we experience fear as though these beliefs are factual truths. But there is good news, and that is that a belief is really an agreement. It's something you have to agree to believe. Nobody can force you to believe one thing or another. You choose what you want to believe. So even though maybe growing up you didn't get to choose, you now are able to become aware of what is inside of you and decide, do I want to agree to this or not? And I will talk about how to do this later in the video. But now let's take a look at a few of the agreements behind the specific fears I mentioned in the beginning of making the wrong decision and never finding love again and ending up alone. Because there are some hidden agreements that may not be what you want to choose to subscribe to. So let's take a look at the underlying agreements. The first is that love is given to you by somebody else. It is found externally in and through someone else. And so once that person leaves, they can't give it to you anymore and you lose love. Now, when you felt that love, if I asked you where you felt that love, you would probably answer inside of me. Maybe you felt it in your heart, your mind, your body, somewhere in your body, you felt love. And it's not like he gave it to you or he placed it inside of you. You felt that love inside of yourself. And when the relationship ended, that love didn't just go with him. It's not just gone, right? Which points to the fact that maybe, just maybe, he is not the source. Maybe he is the recipient of your love. The truth is that love never comes from outside of us. It is not something given to us, and it is not something that can be taken from us. It's not something to be earned or granted by another person. None of that. If there was ever a time that you felt happy and in love, it was a result of the love coming out of you. You are the source of that love, and it was always coming from within you. We may believe we find love in another person, but what we truly find is an opportunity to experience the love that already exists within us. Another person can awaken that love inside of us, but they cannot create it. They can share love with you, but they cannot become the source. And the moment that we believe that somebody else is the source of our love, we become dependent on them, their presence, their approval, their choices. And when they leave us, we don't just grieve the relationship, but we actually genuinely believe that love itself has left too. But that love isn't gone. You've just lost the object of where you were directing your love to. The intensity being grieved is that of your own experience and capacity to love, because now you've lost the object you were directing it towards. Although losing somebody as a companion in the experience of love is incredibly painful, it's so liberating in a sense to know that that love is not gone, that love itself remains untouched. So a new agreement coming out of this is not love is given to me by someone else, I have to find it externally. It's that you are the source of love. That love is experienced within you, and that therefore it cannot be taken away. The second agreement hidden within that fear is that love is scarce. Now, fear has a funny way of shrinking our world and distorting our perception. I was actually reading Anam Cara by John O'Donohue last night when it gave me the most perfect quote to illustrate this. He says that fear is like a fog. It spreads everywhere and it falsifies the shape of everything. It's almost like if you had a flashlight and you were looking through the light of that flashlight without realizing that, there's a light switch and you can see so much more. And so fear tries to tell us that love is limited, that there is only one chance, one soulmate, one person. And if we miss that opportunity, then it's gone. So you better cling for it, compete, don't let it go, protect that love. And when that person leaves, fear convinces us that we've lost our only chance. And when we're bought into fear, instead of seeing any possibilities, we're only looking through a lens of loss. Instead of seeing all the love that still exists within our lives, whether it be through friends, family, pets, realizing that there's so many people we haven't even met yet, we're focused on the one place that love no longer is. But the truth is that love is not actually scarce. Fear just makes it appear that way. Don Miguel Ruiz writes in The Mastery of Love that we search for love even though it is all around us all the time. Love is everywhere, but he says that we don't have the eyes to see it, and that our emotional body is no longer tuned to the frequency of love. And the reason that is because at one point, like I said, we were born as children, and our true nature as children was love. We literally lived love. It was the way we are. We didn't overthink. We were purely curious. We were big dreamers. We just loved. There was no fear. However, through our lives, we've had experiences of rejection, of punishment, of not being good enough for people in our lives. And so our lives have accumulated these unhealed wounds, this unresolved pain, this self-judgment, and an inability to accept ourselves for who we are. And because of all of that, of course we can't see love. All we can see is the judgment that's from others and from ourselves. It's like that flashlight I talked about. we are stuck seeing through the light of a flashlight when really we could switch on the light switch and be absolutely surrounded. So even if you don't quite believe it, you can make a new agreement, which is that love is abundant, or at least that it's possible that fear is narrowing our vision and that we just need to train ourselves to see differently. Because 5 years ago, maybe 10, maybe 20, you didn't even know the person you're grieving. And for some reason now you think that it's certain that you'll never meet somebody else, but you didn't even know you were going to meet them. And that's what fear does to us. Every person you meet is going to be unique. Every relationship you have is going to be unique. And every moment in your life is new. Life is always creating possibilities beyond what our mind can imagine. Love is not a limited resource that only a select lucky few get to experience. Whether we experience that depends on our willingness to reopen our hearts after being hurt, which is a whole nother video. So comment below if that's something you're interested in getting. But moving on to the third agreement, I can't create a beautiful life alone. Or in other words, I'm not okay by myself. The quality of my life is determined by my relationships, and I need a relationship to be whole. That is what this agreement is saying, and that is what is operating at a subconscious level. And don't get me wrong, there is so much beauty that comes from romantic relationships. They add so much to life, they enrich so much. But by believing that romantic relationships are the foundation and are the source, you completely bypass and don't recognize the other countless sources of joy and love, whether that be creativity, friendship, nature, purpose, service, curiosity, gratitude, and so on and so forth. A romantic relationship can certainly enrich all of those things, but it does not create them. A beautiful life is something you give to yourself through the way that you live, through the way that you love, through the way that you give, through the way that you create. When you focus on creating a beautiful life and by the standards of whatever you define that to be, you're not afraid to be alone because there's so much love around you. And love no longer becomes a rescue from loneliness. It becomes an addition to an already abundant, full life. So the new agreement here is that the quality of my life is determined by how I choose to live it and not by my romantic relationships. So those are the three biggest agreements that are embedded within that fear. But if you zoom out for a second, you'll actually notice that all three of them revolve around a deeper agreement, what I call the root agreement here, which is that my well being exists outside of me. It depends on things outside of me. And that looks like I'll be okay if, I'll be okay when. I'll be okay if I find somebody, if they apologize, if I can get that closure, if I can have money, if I can look good, right? Whatever it is, we are making something outside of us, whether it be a person or something else, responsible for something that only we can be responsible for. Maybe it's your sense of love or safety or worthiness or peace or belonging, whatever it's giving you. But the problem with that is we're making it conditional. Those things become conditional. And in that, you are setting yourself up for failure. You are giving away your power to things that were never meant to hold it. Your well being is literally held hostage by an outcome you cannot control. The truth is that nobody other than you was designed to carry the weight of your inner world. In no case can something or someone satisfy your needs and desires totally. That is not you, nor are they meant to. But the great news is, like we said near the beginning, that an agreement is something we have the choice to continue agreeing to. And whenever we decide we would like to change an agreement, we can. Sure, we have to practice that, but we can choose to practice a new agreement. So instead of I'll be okay if, I'll be okay when, the new agreement is I will be okay regardless. And so when you hear that, you're probably thinking, how do I actually do that? How do I practice this new agreement? And so I want to take a second and on a general level talk about how to notice and suss out your agreements to begin with, because right, this is not, I do think placing our well-being on something external is the root of so many of our fears, if not all, honestly. But the way you can figure out where your fears are operating, what they're operating on, the first step is to notice. It's to become so aware. It's to Observe your mind without judgment. What is it saying? What kind of crazy what if scenarios is it giving you? And don't judge it. Just notice, just observe, because this is information for us to make a new choice, to practice a new way of being. So it's nothing to judge, it's nothing to shame yourself for. Again, most of these were not chosen by you, they were just implanted in you from a young age where you didn't have the choice to discern. Second, question if that is what you truly wish to believe. Is that aligned with who you want to be? Next, notice who you'd be without that belief, or maybe notice the secret motivations for holding that belief, even if it's sabotaging you, because maybe you want to chase your dreams, but doing so requires visibility, and that is terrifying. So you're actually holding on to that fear because you are scared. Or maybe, right, ending up alone scares you because running after things has kept you from having to confront yourself and all the ways that you've abandoned yourself. What are these hidden payoffs we get to holding on to fears and certain beliefs? And finally, choose a new agreement that is more aligned with who you want to be now and in the future, that's more aligned with truth and your desired reality. And so, bringing it back to this specific fear of what if I end up alone? What if I never find a love like that? Like we said, the real agreement here is that you are placing your well being on something outside of you, which means that you need to become your own foundation of I will be okay regardless because I'm good. I love myself. And you're probably asking, how do I do that? So, quickly, this could be a whole nother video. If you'd like that, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. But I'm going to give you 3 simple steps. The first is forgive yourself. You're not perfect, and it's okay. You have to forgive yourself for not living up to an impossible standard that you were never going to be able to meet. It's okay that you're not perfect according to your parents. It's okay that you're not even perfect according to your own mental expectations. Forgive yourself. You are human. You are doing the best you can. Number 2, accept yourself. This is me. This is where I am right now. This is the present moment. And this is not the same thing as resignation. It's okay to have goals and accept yourself. It, if anything, makes it easier. It's a launch point. You can say, I'm not as healthy as I'd like to be right now. I accept that, but I want to be, so I'm going to work towards that. It's so much easier when you accept what is and don't fight yourself on it. And finally, pour that love that you were pouring into them or that you wish they were pouring into you back into you. You wish he would have got you flowers? Get yourself flowers. You wish he took you to dinner? Take yourself to dinner. And so on and so forth. You wish he said good morning to you? Get up and speak to yourself in the mirror. It's so weird. A lot of us have blocks around receiving love, but this is how you practice a new agreement. You go and do that. Maybe you don't know what love is. Start with what you do know. I feel loved when he did this to me, so how can I do that for me? And this is honestly the most fun part of life, is getting to learn who you are and follow your curiosities and figure out what lights you up and what does the opposite. I actually have a note on my iPhone that has, things that light me up and things I hate. All of your relationships will improve when you start to pour back into yourself, because it's not selfish to love yourself. And when you don't need somebody else's love, you don't have to lie to yourself about anything. You don't have to keep yourself in situations that don't serve you. You see the truth. You know you're going to be okay regardless, so you move on. You let it hurt, you let it heal, because you know you're going to be okay. So maybe the question isn't, what if I never find love again? Maybe the better question is, what have I unknowingly agreed to that makes that thought so terrifying? Your fear is actually an invitation to look at and analyze the beliefs that you've been carrying your whole life. And remember, what makes you happy is love coming out of you. You are the source. Love is meant to be fun and enjoyed and shared with someone, not given and taken and controlled and manipulated. And if one person doesn't love you, there will come another person who loves you. It's always better to be with somebody who wants to be with you than somebody who has to be with you. Love is infinitely abundant. And finally, a beautiful life starts with you. I'm sending you all my love, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.